Welcome to Making a Difference with Gail. I'm so excited today for my debut show. What I wanted the show to be about are people who are making a difference in the lives of others. And the guests that I have today are very, very special ladies. But I'll tell you a little bit about the show. I'm going to have comedians, entertainers, I'm going to have psychics, I will have all kinds of people. But the one thing that they are going to have in common is that they're going to make a difference in their community. And when they do that, they make a difference in your life as well. I'd like to tell you a little bit about myself. I was a teacher and I retired, and because I wasn't quite sure what to do with myself, as many retirees feel, I decided to volunteer to dedicate a couple of years in local hospitals. And while there, I found an advertisement about a beauty pageant. I decided to enter. I'd step outside the box, and I found out that I also needed a talent, enrolled in a ballet studio with 15-year-olds. Unbelievable. Went on to win that, and went on to win the national title. As I traveled around the country, the one thing that I found is that people were looking for positivity and hope. I started out actually speaking about ageism. And then someone had found out that I was a breast cancer survivor. And suddenly it wasn't about me anymore, just like the show isn't about me, rather that I am a vehicle by which I'm being used to help other people. And after 550 appearances around the country, I learned that I could help others. And that's what this show is going to do. When we come back from a commercial, I'm going to introduce you to a trailer which is going to highlight our show today. Thank you. We'll be right back.
You know you already want a Toyota, but when you want more from your Toyota store, you want Smithtown Toyota, where every Toyota comes with Smithtown Toyota's Toyota for Life program, giving you lifetime New York State inspections, lifetime 10% discounts on all parts and service, 2 years of complimentary oil changes, 2 years of scheduled maintenance, and more, all at no cost to you, plus low clear-out deals on every Toyota in stock. Get more from your Toyota store. Hurry to Smithtown Toyota.
For professional motorcycle transport and towing, think Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing. Proudly serving all of Long Island, we feature expert handling and 24/7 service. So send a limo for your toy with Kickstart Fabrications Motorcycle Towing.
Hey, I'm Tom Mealy from the Harrison Law Group. You know, soft tissue injury, that's no joke. This is what we do. We're not new at this game. Don't waste valuable time going to firms who don't get it and can't do it. Call 1-800-INJURY-LAW.
Brooklyn's best locksmith and hardware.
We have 3 of the largest showrooms of safes on display and in stock. You can see and touch them in person instead of browsing a catalog. We carry gun and rifle safes, burglary safes, jewelry safes, fire rated from a half hour to 2 hours. Famous name brands.
We sell Gardol.
We sell AMSAC.
The new AMSAC touchscreen.
If you're ever in need of a safe, think Brooklyn's best locksmith and hardware. Right, Lockie?
That's right, Alan.
Ray, I don't know. Are you sure clicking this thing will get us online?
Well, try dragging it.
Faster. You're just a mouse click away from a better way to rent movies. Blockbuster Total Access. Movies through the mail plus movies through the store. One low price.
Here's the problem. We forgot to plug it in. Oh, don't even think about it.
Get a free trial at your Blockbuster store or Blockbuster.com.
Welcome back to Making a Difference. The 30-minute Academy Award nominated film, Mondays at Racine, has also been given other awards as well, and it's going to be featured on HBO this October. We are so fortunate in having the 2 women who own the spa and the salon called Racine's, located in Islip off of Montauk Highway, and they're going to tell us all about what went into this. But I do have to share a couple of little things with you. And what I want to share with you is that women came in for different services, and what they ended up getting was something far more important. They had a place where they could discuss their vulnerability, a place where they could have a camaraderie, a place where they could feel very special. And in this particular film, we're going to meet a few different people who have undergone this particular process. And we're going to meet the director, and we're going to see how important hair is, appearance, and what happens with relationships. So let's take a look at this trailer, and then I'll introduce my guest today.
I feel like Chiquita Banana, but Hi, Barbara. It's Rachel from Racine.
Good morning. You've reached Racine. How can I help you? It's just frightening to see myself like this. I feel like as soon as I shave my head, every time I look in the mirror, I'm just going to see cancer. I don't know that I'm ready to see that right now.
I was first diagnosed in 1994 with metastatic breast cancer. 16 and a half years, it's come back 4 times.
It's like your hair is part of your identity and you feel like you're being erased.
I can't even begin to understand why my lack of hair has made me invisible. It's just another change in my body that I don't have any control over.
The whole lung looks like it's just gone. The doctors want to give you quantity of time. They know you're hurting, but when you walk out of their door, they're really not seeing the real picture.
Tomorrow I am having a double mastectomy. I'm gonna miss you. I gotta go, babe.
Kiss.
I know. All right, you ready for this?
I'm ready. You ready?
Not really.
I recommend surrounding yourself with people who love you.
Oh, you are so sweet. I missed you guys.
I feel cute. Yeah, I feel alive.
Most men can't get a decent wig. Frank Sinatra had a good wig, but he had a lot of money.
I like having a little jiggle.
There is a beauty that can come out. That's what everybody needs to know. That's what the world needs to know.
Right.
So we can battle this without that other fear, the beauty fear.
My daughter says, keep it moving, Mommy. And that's what I do. I keep it moving.
I'd like to introduce Rachel Demolfetto and Cynthia Sansone, who are the owners of Racine's. Welcome to the show. I want to thank you so much for being here. And I'd like to start with the question is, what inspired you? How did you get started in this? And as you're thinking about what inspired you, people should know that every third Monday, you invited in cancer patients and you took care of their treatments and made them feel very special. So I always want to know, what inspires people to go out of the way to be so kind?
Actually, it was Cynthia's idea. She called me and said, I have a really great idea. We give to countless amounts of charities. We never really see the result of giving a gift certificate or a gift basket, let's say, for example. And she thought of a brilliant idea, if we could get the staff to volunteer, that we would be able to perhaps one day a month offer free services for women while they're going through treatment of all cancers. So it really is a tribute to her. And in saying that, she also wanted to emphasize that our mother, Mildred Demolfetto, who battled cancer for 5 years, this would be a tribute to her illness, and that really is how it all began.
Would you please show the pictures, the first 3 pictures, and then I'd love to see a picture of your mother Mildred as well. When your mother had cancer, may I ask you the time period that she was diagnosed?
She was suffered with cancer all through the 80s.
Through the 80s, okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's totally a different time period than what we're hearing today. You were old enough to have observed her having cancer.
Rachel and I are 2 of 5 sisters, and at the time I was the second oldest, but we were ill-equipped to help her with her needs. She lost her hair, her toenails, her skin changed. We really didn't know how to serve her. And as Rachel said, when this idea came to me, it was more about healing our own souls for not being able to help Mom.
And isn't that always the truth? When you're giving back to others, you end up giving yourself probably the biggest gift of all, unintentionally.
Yes, absolutely.
And I think that I'm hearing that as a common denominator in all the people that I'm actually interviewing. You know, the 80s were a difficult time to still speak about cancer. You know, of course, that I'm a 39-year breast cancer survivor. And I was diagnosed in the mid-70s. And that was a time period when many people thought that you could either catch it or you did something wrong and you ended up getting it. Cancer was a word that was feared, and you never would even mention it. I remember people saying you don't have to tell anybody about it. And I think that one of the things I'd like to do is show how the changes over the years. We still have the disease cancer. And yes, it is correct that it is not curable as of this point. However, the attitudes have changed so much toward it. The advancements. So when your mom went through it, it had to affect her, probably in a way that she didn't have support.
A guilt and shame.
Guilt and shame.
I think people thought, what did I do to get this?
Yes, yes. And I know that when I was teaching, I had students upset because some of them thought they would actually catch it. And I had to go into the school and say, you can't catch it. And people were upset and frightened by it. And then today you see all the changes. Were there support groups around when your mother was diagnosed?
I don't think so exactly. Probably very small amounts, but I don't think it was anything to truly tap into. Not like something, certainly, what we have. But even so, I mean, now there's so much support from coalitions in each town to the broader sense of American Cancer Society, and just the awareness of, you know, runs and walks and fundraising efforts. I mean, it has become now, unfortunately, it has become, and now a tap word, and everybody knows about it, and everybody. But not then. I don't. Even in the 80s, she actually died around when AIDS broke out. So it was this whole sense of cancer was a whisper.
Right.
You know,
you whispered.
Yeah.
But look out of a crisis, what greatness came from it, and the legacy to your beautiful mother.
Yes.
We have a picture of Mildred, and I see her on a swing, and just a beautiful lady. And I know this has got to be such a profound effect on all of you and the rest of your sisters and your entire family. I'd like to ask you if you remember the very first patient who walked through, because I know that Mondays at Racine's took place years after you started this wonderful you know, thing that you've done.
The film did, yes, exactly.
So do you remember the very first patient?
Was it Debbie
I
Clawberry?
do too. I think it was Debbie, but I do remember days after a patient calling and saying, you know, she had a double mastectomy, and she said that I felt so beautiful when I left Racine that for the first time my husband and I made love after many months after being diagnosed. And I think the result of what we do is to put the beauty back into what the chemotherapy and the radiation takes out.
I think
there's a sense of like the feeling of feeling pretty, even if it's the physical, tangible painting of a nail or massaging of a body or that type of thing. It still reflects how you feel, and you might be then feel more attractive to your partner.
I think you really created a safe haven for women to come in, to talk, to see another person who's also been afflicted, and it might be a different way, but all of the women getting together and feeling safe, and then providing, to make them feel much better about themselves. I think it was Cambria, one of the two women that was in there. If we can go on to the next picture, you could see that she said when she looks in the mirror, see cancer. And what you ladies did is take that away. But when you first helped somebody with shaving her head, what was that like for you?
It was very emotional for us. We
Still is.
We did not have our script down to know how to address the situation. So we were going by pure emotion. And as a credit to the hairdressers who actually do the shaving, these are young girls. I mean, we've created a culture in our salon where we've trained these women, and they are really at the forefront of the most dramatic occurrence in the salon, which is the shaving of the head.
Courageous. In fact, they not one of them have a personal cancer story. So in other words, not a very close relative that has been afflicted. So when we asked them, I think, to volunteer, I think they didn't really know exactly what they were going to get into, but as it went on, and even in the beginning, they did all rush to the staff room and bawl their eyes out. And I think that as time went on, they finally got it, that they really could really help somebody, and that their own emotion is really now a satisfaction.
Absolutely.
A sense of satisfaction, like I can really help this person feel good and get rid of this medicine hair, and now they can, walk around freely, certainly in our place.
Will you please show the next couple of pictures? And what you're going to see is one patient's hair being shaved, and then you see the patient's head is shaved, and then you see you're applying makeup to one of the patients named Linda, and the beautiful job that you're doing.
Thank you.
No, I mean, I've been there, went through it. When I was 25, I was in the hospital, and I had had a mastectomy. Now, in those days, you were given the biopsy, you awakened, you felt, and that's how you honestly knew whether or not you had cancer. And if you look at today, all the different tests and the different things and events that are being done, and the fact that you can have reconstructive surgery in most cases, not all cases, it's just so significant. But a mother did something that was a very brave and a very good thing to do. She bought me a white pen wash set when I was in the hospital. Now remember, 25, put a ribbon on my hair, a little bit of lipstick, hooked up to a machine. I had the surgery. I also had skin grafting because I was all but 98 pounds, maybe even thinner than that. And when she brought me that, I remember a doctor coming by and saying, "Who are you, a bride?" And it picked up my spirits. Later on, when I was asked to walk around and I gave flowers to other seniors who were there, it was a different time period in the 70s in hospitals. People, unfortunately, were smoking. You could have as many visitors as you wanted. You didn't have as many restrictions as you do today. And I do remember seeing, children and going in. And it's so funny because my name is Gail King. When I won the Universal title of Miss Senior America, I'm referred to as one of the queens. But when I walked in to visit the children, children in their beauty and their innocence looked up and they said, "Are you a princess?" And they didn't see the machinery and they didn't see all of that. And suddenly I just felt so beautiful.
Wow, that's a beautiful story. I love
and
that.
it's something that, for me, it was almost like an omen of the future. But that's why it's so important. I'd like to go to the next picture, and I'd like to meet Cynthia Wade, who is the director and also producer. Very young lady, as I saw from the pictures, and I did some research. And she said that this film is very much about hair. And you're looking at women who've undergone mastectomies, who are fighting for their lives, and they're worried about their hair. Why, and you're in this business, do you think that is?
I think that going back to the caveman, I've said this before, but going back to the caveman period, the image of the male dragging the woman around with her hair, it was symbolic in terms of a relationship, let's say, for example. And then I think that also women, it's $1 billion industry, how our hair appears can totally define your day. And it's that, unfortunately, even though that's the production company's bad hair day, is that sense. It's a bad hair day. You don't feel great because it's a bad hair day. When you are then told that through chemotherapy you're going to lose your hair, it's overwhelming. And I think that at that defining moment, it's not, we've often been told by oncologists, the first question asked after being diagnosed is not that am I going to die or how sick am I going to be, is am I going to lose my hair? It's the first question that women ask. So in terms of what we do for a living, it is a little of a dichotomy because now we're helping people shave their heads. But it is that moment of not feeling beautiful then.
But I think you're showing them their inner beauty,
Yeah.
their beauty as reflected in the eyes of what they're doing, their red badge of courage, they're overcoming adversity. Is there anything more beautiful than a secure woman who from within knows what she's doing and that beautiful glow? Because when I look at their faces, if we go on to other pictures, you can see the smiles of your tip
and the eyes.
You see the eyes don't lie. Now I'll tell you, it's not just women who feel that. My husband had pancreatic cancer, and he fought it for 4 years, and passed on 20 years ago. And one of the first questions he had asked, going through radiation and chemo at the same time, is, am I going to lose my hair? He lost very little of it, but that was one of the main questions. So I think it's not just indigenous to women as such, it's actually for all of us.
Yes.
And I think it has so much to do with, society and the way that we look at people. How many shows have been done where women come into the studio and it's a big deal that they're not even wearing makeup? And they feel different and they act differently. So I think that's probably, very much a part of it. I want to quote something that Cynthia Wade had said, and perhaps you'd like to comment on it or even, explore it. She said that she was trying to capture the emotion, the vulnerability, and the reality of what patients go through during this 2.5-year period. I have a couple of questions for you. One, how did you feel having cameras follow your every move? How many hours a day did this actually take place?
Well, we were kind of on opposite ends of the pole as far as the filming. I was ebullient and excited and very bitten by the camera bug. I felt like anything to bring this this film to the masses, I was going to participate in.
Right.
My sister felt she was sometimes annoyed because she was. She felt bad for people who were sitting there spilling their guts, giving such emotion, and then the director would say, cut, a truck just went by, we have to do this take over.
That's what I was going to ask you.
Right.
That was a difficult thing for me too. I wasn't as excited because the reality of what we were doing, there were eyes on it, and it was directed, even though a documentary is for real. And I mean, let's not make no mistake about that.
Right.
There's no script at all. However, when a woman is pouring their heart out and telling their story, and then she's got to do it all over again because the shot was not right, the lighting, what have you, I felt that was very contrived, and it was difficult for me to get through. But then I, like Cynthia, I eventually knew that there was something very special about what was happening. And even though cameras were on these women, it was cathartic for them to have told their story through a camera. Even Cambria has said, personally, not on film, that it was the only thing that got her through her cancer was being able to be part of this film. So I think that we dealt with it eventually and are happy, of course, about it.
Yeah, I was curious about that because I'd done featured extra work. I closed the show, and that sounds terrible, with Pan Am doing my ballroom dance. And after hours and hours to get just maybe 30 seconds of that last take, or when I do Royal Pains or 30 Rock, we'd have to do it for hours. I got blown up with Angelina Jolie, in the movie Salt, and that was constant, and you had to feign that. And I was really curious about it. But what I'm wondering, too, is that when Cambria, one of the patients, and we have a picture of both Cambria and Linda coming up on screen, when they were sharing it, maybe sometimes to go through the catharsis the first time, and then the second time, and third, perhaps, they're even starting to accept what's going on because it becomes more real, I think.
It was a process.
It's a
The process, it doesn't
right.
matter. Each day is a new day with treatment and cancer and relationships. And, you know, it was hours and hours of filming, as you could well imagine.
Oh,
And
yes.
to cut it down to 39 minutes was very difficult for Cynthia Wade, as we were told, to do. But these two women bared their souls. And ultimately, I think it helped them. You agree? Yeah.
Yes, and there were many, many women who were asked to be part of the film. And these women agreed, and I think they knew what they were in for.
Yeah.
And it's interesting, the age differences, too. I don't know if that was one of the reasons they were selected or because they were so forthcoming in sharing their experiences. But one was 58 years old. That was Linda, I believe, when the film started. And then Cambria, who was, I believe, 36.
30s.
And they developed that very, very special bond and friendship.
Absolutely.
How close did the two of you get?
To them?
Yes.
We're
the
still.
bonds will never be broken.
We go to church with them. We've gone
Really?
to.
Oh, okay, so
we
this
have
is-
traveled with
We've
them.
traveled with them.
These relationships
will never
are
go
ones
away.
that will
They'll
never
Is that
be
the
broken.
same with all the women that come through? Or was it
You know what?
particularly-
You know,
I'm
people
curious.
are
Gail,
alumni of the
yes.
salon after 10 years of doing this. People come back, their family members come in. Unfortunately, some people who have passed on, we have the residual of their family members coming in and their clients now. And they feel very connected to the salon because they were part of our posse.
Well, we're going to take a break. When we come back, I'd like to know how this even came about. We'll be right back to Making a Difference with Gail.
Brooklyn's best locksmith and hardware.
We have 3 of the largest showrooms of safes on display and in stock. You can see and touch them in person instead of browsing a catalog. We carry gun and rifle safes, burglary safes, jewelry safes, fire rated from a half hour to 2 hour. Famous name brands.
We sell Gardol.
We sell AMSAC.
The new AMSAC touchscreen.
If you're ever in need of a safe, think Brooklyn's best locksmith and hardware. Right, Lockie?
That's right, Alan.
This is Beth.
Hi.
Oh, congratulations. When are you due?
I'm not pregnant.
Oh, look at that. Excuse me.
You're totally thin.
You look very sexy.
For life's bleachable moments, all it takes is 3/4 of a cup.
When your cable's on the fritz, you get frustrated. When you get frustrated, your daughter imitates. When your daughter imitates, she gets thrown out of school. When she gets thrown out of school, she meets undesirables. When she meets undesirables, she ties the knot with undesirables. And when she ties the knot with undesirables, you get a grandson with a dog collar. Don't have a grandson with a dog collar. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. When your cable company keeps you on hold, you get angry. When you get angry, you go blow off steam. When you go blow off steam, accidents happen. When accidents happen, you get an eye patch. When you get an eye patch, people think you're tough. When people think you're tough, people want to see how tough. And when people want to see how tough, you wake up in a roadside ditch. Don't wake up in a roadside ditch. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. When you pay too much for cable, you throw things. When you throw things, people think you have anger issues. When people think you have anger issues, your schedule clears up. When your schedule clears up, you grow a scraggly beard. When you grow a scraggly beard, you start taking in stray animals. And when you start taking in stray animals, you can't stop taking in stray animals. Stop taking in stray animals. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Hello, ladies. Welcome back. I'd like to know how you were approached perhaps by Cynthia Wade as well as Robin Honan, the producer. Can you share that with me,
Sure.
please?
Robin actually was scouting for a salon. She had heard through a series of people when investigating and trying to get a salon or somebody that helped women when they were going through chemo. And our name came up and she called. And I just answered the phone. Hello, Racine. How can I help you? This is Robin Honan. And she went on to tell me about the project. And we made an arrangement for her to come in to our Cancer Day, which was happening the following Monday. She came in and she saw what was going on. She called Cynthia immediately. And before we knew it, they were both there. And they taped for about 30 hours. Brought the film back to HBO executives, and they loved it, and they gave them the green light to go ahead and make this film.
Very nice. And it's going to be shown on HBO
Yes,
this October.
HBO.
What awards has the film already garnered?
The film has, through film festival circuit, for all of last year, has gotten multiple awards, audience awards, and several different types of awards, and then to find out on January 10th that the film was nominated for an Oscar.
Incredible.
Was really mind-blowing. We really, from the inception of this whole experience, never, ever, ever thought that would ever happen. You might as well just ask us to go run a marathon and win the gold medal for the United States. It's of the same unbelievable,
right.
Are you kidding me? So that really was the icing of the cake, on the cake for the film.
You know, when you go through adversity, it is such a learning experience. In my case, I learned at a very early age, life isn't always fair. However, attitude is so important. And I think that, you know, having this positive attitude and people who care about you. When I was in the hospital, I had the attention of so many teachers because I was so young when diagnosed with breast cancer. And people came in, and after a while, after a few weeks, they left. And I remember my dad, and I just want to share this with you because it's so important to have that family backing and people who care about you and who love you. When everybody left, my dad was the last to go. I was very close to him. And he was a Golden Glover in addition to having a job at Con Edison. And I remember saying, you know, Dad, I have to ask you something. Am I going to die? And he slowly turned, and he said, no. And I said, but Dad, how can you be so sure? And he said, because I won't let you. And as he walked out, he went like this, which made me fight from that moment forth. If he could believe that much in me, then I certainly could believe in myself. Wow. And that's when I started to squeeze the tennis ball, learn how to play tennis, exercise. And again, you know, we didn't have everything available as we do today. Implants came about 10 years ago. And even that wasn't easy for me. I had to go through 6. You know, at first it was fun. Walking in, I'll pick this, I'll pick that. And then because, again, I was so slender and so much skin had been taken. But I think if you keep going after something and keep persevering, what do you think about that?
That people need to somebody to identify with, and that's why on Mondays at Racine and our program is so important. Women come in and they hear other women's stories, and perhaps they adopt a notion, a thought, an idea on how this woman got through it. Maybe she shaved her head and was like, screw this, I'm going to be a fight, I'm going to fight it to the end. Or maybe she decides to get the hair she's always wanted her entire life, maybe long, blonde, curly hair for the 6 months she's battling, and that's how she gets through it. Whatever it is, you know, just depending on one another, like looking for strength in other people is how you get through it.
And I think also to add to that, and it's just interesting, when I left the salon today, we had a patient in who's doing quite well, by the way, and I met her in the parking lot. I was leaving, and she said to me, this is the first time I'm walking around without a wig. And today's not even our day. She had just come into the salon to get a product, and she said, in the parking lot, she goes, I can't believe I'm outside. I have no wig on. I feel fantastic. So I think that the power of the message of what we're doing feeds that part of the fight. Like your father doing that.
Yes, right.
It's the feeding. Like, you look great. You look great. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean that you're nobody. It means that you're still somebody. Right. So go ahead, walk out.
Didn't Cambria use that line, I believe, about losing hair, eyebrows, eyelashes, and saying she didn't want to be, and felt like she was being erased.
It was another patient, but she definitely identified with that.
What a powerful line. Can you imagine? You're here and you're feeling like you're erased. And then I do believe, I read that Cynthia Wade talked about patients walking into stores before they had their hair, their lashes, their eyes. And again, we talked about the power of your hair. And then suddenly you don't have your hair, your eyelashes, and people don't recognize who you are.
Or profile you and say, she must be sick.
She must be sickly. Right.
Yeah.
So I think attitude is a tremendous...
Attitude is everything.
It's
in
everything.
This case, I think that it's definitely
share
profound.
with you, too, in my husband having pancreatic cancer, when I went to the doctor, and again, this was 20 years ago, times not being as we weren't as erudite in our information as we are today. It wasn't out there, and particularly pancreatic cancer. And I had found it in the Mayo Clinic book, believe it or not, in Costco. He had turned yellow, and I looked up the symptoms, got him to a doctor, and sure enough, diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. But I remember the doctor saying when he went to change, this isn't good. And I said, his first question is going to be, how much time? And she said, well, he has the right to know that. He is the patient. And I said, I am his wife. And I'm telling you, if you tell him what you just told me, which was a few months at best, you will have killed him on the spot. He will just plan ahead, and that will be it. She said, well, Mrs. King, what is it you would like me to say? And the only thing I could think of is, only God knows. Well, when he came out, first question, all right, doctor, how much time do I have? And she looked at me, and she read my heart and my eyes and my soul, and then she said, only God knows. 4 years later,
wow,
4 years, deathbed, he said, did you know how much time I had? But isn't that amazing? So I think that there's always that hope, that inspiration, that feeling good about yourself. The other thing I want to talk about with you, relationships. I went through my own cancer. It was more difficult seeing my husband go through it.
Sure.
What was it like for you to see the husbands of the women who encountered this?
I think that the director, Cynthia Wade and Robin, they did a spectacular job. Although it started out, and we do know this, that they started out with this idea of hair loss. Yes, that is the core and the basic portion of the film. But I think that once they got into these particular two women's relationships, that there is this sense that, again, it goes back to the beauty idea, is that I may not feel beautiful, and I'm going through this illness, and although Cynthia says this all the time, that even though you're going through chemo and everything, you're still balancing the checkbook, you're still remortgaging the house, taking the dog and picking up the kids and going to a soccer practice, you still don't feel like the bride that you were, and that alters your relationship with the male, and very often the male counterpart, in our cases, of course, doesn't really know what to say,
and what to do. Right.
There's no resource. There are support groups for men as we know it, but I don't know if many men will attend them. I don't think the majority of men will attend them, but it is about facing the truth.
Well, Rachel, as I've spoken across the country about breast cancer, there are many men, young men at that. I mean, I've had 15-year-old girls who have come up to me who've had double mastectomies. But I do remember one particular man saying, I don't know what to do. Right. She didn't even come today, but I came to listen to you. And I said, what a token of love.
Yeah.
And I could well up with that, and I probably will. But one of the things I share with him is sometimes you don't have to say something. You can just sit there by somebody's side and your look of love, it will be far stronger, your action, than what the words will convey. Read to that person. Accept that person. Look, I went through the mastectomy. I went through the implants. I model. I act. I was in Senior America. I remember what it was like to walk lopsided and have a prosthesis fall out. Believe me, that's embarrassing. I remember wondering how somebody would find me attractive again. In my case, it was to find somebody who would respect me for who I am. True love. But again, people are different. Right. People react in different ways. Some people react in fear, and it's not the rejection of the woman. And men can have breast cancer too, but it's not the rejection of the woman. It's the fear of not knowing what to say, what to do. Did you find many relationships collapsing, or people getting stronger, or did it vary?
I think the majority of women who come into our Mondays have strong relationships. As we found out, only 20% of women will even come to a Mondays.
Really?
Because the other 80% want to remain anonymous. If they come in and they're part of our group, then they're a member. You know that saying, I don't want to be a member of anybody who'll have me in their group, or whatever it is.
That's right.
And it's really true. So the majority of those women have good, strong relationships. I mean, believe me, we've seen some crumble.
Right.
And just as, time takes its toll on relationships like marriages.
Under normal circumstances. Under normal circumstances.
So you have another trauma,
yes.
Something else you're going through.
I mean, we've had men waiting in the parking lot beeping the horn, like, when are you coming out? And we've had men walk their woman into the back, hold their hand, embrace them after their head was shaved. So I think it varies, and I think it's true with what you said, that you've been around young men that have said, give me some guidance. However, I think it's all kinds, and I just think that this is a great forum right now because maybe there is somebody out there right now that kind of wants the answers to the questions.
And there are no easy, quick answers. I think you have to react perhaps from your heart and what you think is right. And if you make a mistake, say, wait a minute, I didn't mean to say that or do that. Let's work out and let's work on it.
Not to mention children's reactions.
That was the next thing
families, children's, all types of work, people that work with people. There are some women that will get the same exact wig like their hair was. Nobody ever knew that they had cancer. They get through it and they go, and nobody even knew. Even in their workplace, if let's say a professional woman who's in that type of environment, maybe in our environment, it's acceptable to wear a wig.
Correct.
We'd be like, great pink wig that you're wearing today. In that case, but there are a lot of women that keep it, and family members that keep it hush hush.
I'd like to bring up, we were talking, and you weren't there that day that I visited Cynthia. But Rachel, we were talking about today there were so many more treatments for breast cancer, ways of finding out, from the blood test to MRIs, CAT scans, bone scans, and of course you doing your own self-examination. Number one priority, get there as early as you can. Don't be frightened. There are women sitting here right now who are petrified. Fear of the unknown is even greater than whatever you could discover. That we know. But we were talking about Angelina Jolie, and I think we had some of the same opinions, how she went in for the BRCA. And of course, she had her aunt, who just recently passed away from breast cancer, and her mom in her 50s who had a different type of cancer. How do you feel about the treatment that she decided to undergo as preventive for breast cancer?
I think that Angelina Jolie is a beacon for women right now. I think that her beauty, her outstanding beauty, people look at celebrities like they're like untouchable, or they idolize them. And for her to get down to the bare bones reality, like, this is in my genes, and I'm going to be very proactive in my life, and I'm going to take care of this, and I'm going to show my public, my fans, or anybody else who wants to listen, that it's okay. And I think that was, I say bravo to Angelina Jolie.
Hold that point. I think we may have to add a little bit of a difference of opinion as soon as we come back from this commercial.
One resident describes her horrifying experience when she first realized the complex was on fire.
I got bronchitis. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Well, I woke up to go give me a cold pop. Then I thought somebody was barbecuing. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Then I ran out. I didn't grab no shoes or nothing. Jesus, I ran for my life. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Jesus, 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 it's a fire. Oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. I said, oh Lord Jesus, it's a fire. Jesus, 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 Jesus. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time. Ain't nobody got time for that.
When your cable's on the fritz, you get frustrated. When you get frustrated, your daughter imitates. When your daughter imitates, she gets thrown out of school. When she gets thrown out of school, she meets undesirables. When she meets undesirables, she ties the knot with undesirables. And when she ties the knot with undesirables, you get a grandson with a dog collar. Don't have a grandson with a dog collar. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV. When your cable company keeps you on hold, you get angry. When you get angry, you go blow off steam. When you go blow off steam, accidents happen. When accidents happen, you get an eye patch. When you get an eye patch, people think you're tough. When people think you're tough, people want to see how tough. And when people want to see how tough, you wake up in a roadside ditch. Don't wake up in a roadside ditch. Get rid of cable and upgrade to DirecTV. Call 1-800-DirecTV.
Welcome back. Let's continue the discussion of Angelina Jolie. I think we're all in general consensus that it was so brave of her to come out and to share. And you're right, people do look up to celebrities and they want to see what they're doing. And of course, taking the cue from Brad Pitt, who has stood by her side and honored her. The only concern that I have is not that she came forward and shared that. I just want to make sure that some people thinking that they might have this particular gene may be rushing to doctors to spend the $3,000 on this particular test and have unnecessary surgery for it. Or not realize that, you know, I have cancer and I can go in and I can have implants and they're going to maybe even looking better than what I had. Seldom is that the case, particularly when you don't have $400,000 to spend on implants. I went through 5 or 6 times, and implant burst, or you know, it just didn't work that particular time. And I was told, why don't you just let it go? And I said, oh, I'm so stubborn. I've never given up on anything, and kept doing it. And as I said, you know, my red badge of courage is that I'm not perfect. So when I get into a bathing suit, I feel really good about myself. Or if somebody say, wow, look at you in a bikini. But, you know, I give her the props for that. I just don't want people
You don't want it to become the operation du jour, you know? It's like, she did it, I want to be like her, let me go in without really thinking it through.
That's so true.
That, you know, everybody's queuing up now to
we're all
have this,
jumping on the bandwagon, let's go in.
yes, let's chop them off, you know,
right.
and it's
and
not
it's kind
the
of
only...
scary because, you know, here's how it was in education. You had a pendulum, and you would go all around in a circle and end up back in the same spot. And you need people to get excited and to stir things up. but it's ultimately your decision,
Right.
what's right for you.
That's right.
And no one
It's
else
important
can
to
make
know
that.
that. It's important to know that
Yeah.
everybody has a different. This particular test is not just given out to anybody. I mean,
Right.
you do have to have the genealogy, and
Correct.
doctors, good doctors, will guide you in the right direction. You're just not going to walk into an office and say, I want to avoid having cancer and I want a double mastectomy.
Right.
I don't.
Except
Hopefully,
that
there's
we know
not.
that medicine is a business. I mean, it's a point of view that we have, we debate about quite often.
Okay.
Because we know that, and people really need to become educated about their own particular.
You need to take and get involved in it.
Yes.
And I'm not talking about, now let's go on the computer, I think I found a lump, is this cancer? I'm not talking about that, but we're talking about anything that's different in your body, because you know your body better than anyone. Then you have to get involved, take charge. Just like you set the stage for how people are going to treat you with this disease.
Right.
If you're uncomfortable, they're going to be uncomfortable.
First, second, third opinions are very important.
Absolutely.
You can go as far
Right.
as fourth opinion if you're unsure. It is about just going to seeking out the information. Knowledge is power.
Knowledge is power. I
that's
think
it.
that's so key.
Yes.
Thank you for saying that. Knowledge, educate yourself. All right. And, I wanted to ask you, too. We're so serious that because it is such a serious topic, but were there moments of levity that you could share with us that you're comfortable with?
Well, Rachel and I we're like Whoopi Goldberg and Joy Behar on The View when we're sitting at the helm conducting Mondays at Racine, if I'm not on the other side doing makeup, which I do. And we, whether we're talking about, making brajol on Sunday or as I said in the film, how we want to kill our husbands, we try.
We're finding a good bargain.
Find the common
We
thread
do.
besides the cancer that we can speak to women to normalize the
Right.
conversation, and then that becomes kind of funny.
You have to lighten the load because it
do.
could become very daunting what we do. And all of the women being in one area, all sharing the same thing, it could be very emotional, but we do kind of control that, and then we'll go into some comedy routine about something. I have even asked a patient to sit on my lap while she was getting her head shaved, just if that would, and at least it made her giggle a little bit. But it is about, we just lighten it up a little bit. We just
behind every successful woman is a caring man. So your husbands must be amazing.
Yes, they are.
Yes, that's
amazingly,
I'm not married. I'm engaged.
Supportive.
But I've been with somebody for 10
wonderful.
years, and
Oh,
she's
that's
very supportive, and I'm
wonderful.
very much
So
supportive.
it has to be, because you're really involved, and I can't imagine that you leave the salon and say, okay, that's it. It has to stay with you. It has to affect you.
What's very important to understand is, and then I say this every Monday, when I walk out and turn my car on, all of everything that I've complained about that morning or prior to goes out, because really, what is there to complain about? Honestly, if you ask the question, how are you today? I'm great.
Right. Oh, I so love that.
Yeah.
One of the things I learned is, what will this disease permit me to do? It permits me to get up in the morning and feel that sunshine or hear that soothing rain, no matter what. Here.
I think it tenderizes your heart.
Yes.
Going through chemotherapy and facing some of the treatments that you do. Even a hardened person changes. I mean, I'm sure you can elaborate on how it changed you.
Well, I didn't go through chemo or radiation. I went through quite a bit of surgery, and I did something that I was not supposed to do. I got pregnant the next year. And I am so excited. In my case, it turned out great. Gave birth to a beautiful girl.
Nice.
And I now have 2 grandchildren. And I can remember just praying that I would be able to see that little baby girl graduate and then have children, become a grandmother. Now, in my case, I wasn't supposed to get pregnant, so I had to sign all kinds of...
You were advised not to? Is that
Was I ever? I was supposed to abort.
Really?
And I chose not to.
Hey, power to you. I love that you took control of that.
But I wouldn't advise it to my viewers.
No.
Because
it is a
was
personal
decision for me.
That's right.
And it affected the relationship. As a person, my daughter's father, not married any longer. You wouldn't want to be there for that one where he's saying to the doctor, isn't this a great thing? And the doctor's saying, I don't know why she did that, why she didn't abort. What do you mean? And I'm right in the middle saying, oh. So, you know, I mean, 28 years old, this is what I wanted. And my baby had to be born. And that's how I looked at it. Right. The next picture is of you sitting down. I have to ask this. When you went to the Academy Awards, please share with the viewers what that was like, who you were looking to see, and what happened.
It was a surreal moment, pulling up with the limos, being bombarded by protesters protesting about gay rights, abortion.
Okay. Nothing
it
to
seems
do
like,
with anything
no,
with
it's
you,
just like
that
that's
was
what
there.
happens. You know,
Really?
the paparazzi, and so as our limo slowed down and they opened those doors to help us out of the car at that moment.
Welcome to the Academy
It
Awards.
was surreal,
Oh,
and
my
I'm
goodness.
glad that I had my sister right by my side
Oh.
because we
It was-
had our own shtick going to
Yeah.
get, you know, to quell our nerves.
Right,
But
right.
it was a life-changing experience, for sure.
Who did you want to see, and did you see that person?
Great, you know, Tony Soprano fan. I'm a James Gandolfini fan, and I knew that the movie he was in was up for an award. Unfortunately, he was not there. So I didn't get, I would have made my way in to say hello.
Who did you see that rather impressed you? We love this.
Oh, my
this type
goodness.
of
I mean,
tour.
when Steven Spielberg walked by, I stood up in attention. I mean, he's
isn't
somebody
that
that
something,
commands an
right?
attention. Barbara Streisand walked, you know,
Oh, my goodness.
brushed elbows with us.
Right.
We got a chance to hobnob with the slobs, for sure.
And you were the celebrities. Who did you want to see, and did you see that
I
person?
wanted to see Daniel Day-Lewis mostly, but
I can understand
you know, again, Steven Spielberg walked by me, and I smiled, and he winked, and I was happy. I winked at him rather, and then Streisand. We were near Donna Karan. We were Helena Bonham Carter.
Did you go to any parties afterwards?
We were invited to the governor's ball, which I think is part of the ticket, and I think that the celebrities go there immediately thereafter, and then soon thereafter clear out and go to onto the other party. So we were able to go to that.
You were able to go to that. How exciting for you. Now, you did not take home that Golden Globe. You didn't get the little man.
No.
However,
We wouldn't have gotten it anyway. It was only the director and the producer were nominated. We were there as guests.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
We
But
wouldn't
my
have-
book.
But we have the Oscar.
You get the Oscar.
Totally.
Actually, you don't have to come in first to be a winner. A winner's defined in how she
Absolutely.
lives her life each and every day. And in my book, you certainly,
Thank you,
definitely
Gail.
are winning.
Thank you, Gail.
Absolutely. I also want to say that, you know, I'm humbled by you that you were honored by the American Cancer Society recently. And that's the last picture that I have. And I'm hearing that this is about it. So I am going to have to give you something that I hope that you will wear. I brought one for each of you. This is my T-shirt. A thriver is a survivor with attitude.
I love it.
And I always
Thank you,
say,
Gail.
honey, I've got plenty of that. So
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for
much.
having us. You're
Monday
amazing.
at
Thank you.
Racine, Main Street, and thank you so much.
Thank you,
Love
Gail.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know the